Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
The First Lady of New York Radio, Joan Hamburg. Entertaining and informative. Talk Radio 77 WABC.
Welcome, everyone, to Joan Hamburg and to the Joan Hamburg Show and podcast. And I actually have our boss on with me today, John Catsimatidis. And I know you've heard about him. You listen to him on the radio. He writes, this guy really does everything. And he's got a book out called How Far Do You Want to Go? And the subtitle, Lessons from a Common Sense Billionaire. And the truth is, he almost makes it sound too easy. Like when I finished John's book, I thought, what did I do wrong? You know, he's a billionaire. He paid his dues. He started involvement in politics from the time he was a little kid. And look where he's going and where he's gone. And his kids are like him. And his wife, they're all going out there and grabbing for the stars and catching them. So congratulations on the book and on everything. When you finished, John, did it change your opinion of the country, of your life? Or was it interesting to stand back and say, this is me and my story?
No, I had a mission in life between writing the book and its many, many missions. One, I wanted my kids to know where they came from, how it happened, and I want my grandkids to come someday to know about that too. That was one mission. Another mission is that I worked very hard in so many charities, and one of my favorites was the Police Athletic League, and we had a mission, and Bob Morgenthau taught me that mission. And you knew Bob Morgenthau, I'm sure. Everybody knew Bob Morgenthau.
Of course.
For 50 years, he was dedicated to the Police Athletic League. I've worked there for 40 years, and my mission is to take the kids of our inner cities and give them a chance to become successful. And what the Police Athletic League does is the kids in Harlem, Bedford-Stuyvesant, in our poorer neighborhoods. Senator Moynihan wrote about 20, 30 years ago how the biggest problem in our inner cities was 30% of the families are one-parent families. And when kids finish school, they go hang out in the candy store, they go hang out in the pizza store, and they end up getting in trouble. So that was the reason we created the PAL centers for them to have some place to go.
Right.
The problem with Senator Moynihan was 30%. Now it's worse. It's 70%.
Yeah.
So Mr. Morgenthau dedicated his life to helping those kids of the inner city. I'm chairman now, and I'm dedicating my life to help those kids in the inner city. I remember so many events we had with those kids, and there'd be 100 kids standing in a corner, and I'd be there with Commissioner Kelly or Commissioner Bratton, and I point to those kids and I said, see those 100 kids in that corner right there? Can we save 20 of them? Can we save 30 of them? And that was another mission. Of taking care of our inner cities and so many charities that are my wife and myself are involved in our city. The next thing is our city, our state, our country is in trouble. there's an attack in so many directions. And that's one of the reasons I bought WABC, to get the truth out. And my mission is every reporter we have, or I said, get the truth out. And when somebody tries to skew the truth, that's the only time I get angry. I guess today I work harder than I did 10 years ago. But the other thing we try to accomplish, Joan, is only in America, the land of opportunity. My two grandfathers came over in 1913, and they were looking for the streets paved with gold. And there's so many ways to succeed in America, but you got to keep your nose clean, and there's so many zigs and zags in the road. On page 255 of the book, we quote 16 things that you have to look out for to become successful. I'll tell you, have you read the book at all, John?
Yes, I finished the book yesterday.
And what did you think? What part did you like the most? Which part didn't you like the most?
Well, first of all, I must say that I was really impressed because, you think you know everyone's story, but you don't. And then when you hear all the odds, you grew up in West Harlem, and I love that because how many people can go to a group of kids and say, look at me, I grew up like you. I grew up in this neighborhood, and look what I've done. And you're no different. You could do the same thing. And how you achieved that business success while never giving up on this country, I was fascinated by that. We're living in a country that seems to be so divided during these days. And often I feel no one is really listening, but your strong belief in the promise of America really makes a difference because you've been there, done that. And I was curious, even when you finished the book and had a chance to reflect and look back, did you realize what you did and what you've accomplished? And you're just in the middle. You're starting with all of these things, and you've taught these lessons to your kids, and people are listening. So I was fascinated by the difference that people can make who really want to and overlook things, because like all successful entrepreneurs and business people, you've had your failures as well as your successes, but you didn't let them cripple you. You just got up and pushed ahead, and it makes a huge difference. I thought it was very optimistic and very encouraging, and also very important. And I liked how you proposed to Margot, your wife. Do you remember that story you wrote about?
I remember that story. I was there, and I was in a room of 400 people, and a lot of them didn't like her. And I figured, what better place for me to propose to her than a room full of people that didn't like her? And what the heck, she's always been the sunshine of my life. She's always been there, no matter bad days, good days, whatever. She's always there to make me smile and make me feel good. And every businessman, if you don't have a home where you have a supporting wife, it makes life harder.
Right. And before your supporting wife, you had a supporting mother who thought and knew that her boy walked on magic air. And I think that's a great gift.
Like that about a son. Every mother feels like that about a son.
Of course.
And my mother was very, very supportive, and Margot, my wife, was very, very supportive, and that always helps. But within life. I told you about page 255.
Right.
And success comes with sacrifices, Joan. And people have to know that. When all my friends were going on ski weekends, I was working. When all my friends were going to football games on Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon, I was working. People say to me, how come you're a Yankee fan and not a Met fan? Well, when the Mets came to New York, were created in New York, I was working 7 days a week. I never knew who the Mets were. The Yankee fans, my grandfather took me to my first Yankee game, and I fell in love with him. I can name you every team. I can name you every player and what base they were playing. So I love New York, and right now New York is in trouble. And if we don't all stand up and help New York, we're going to lose New York, and that's my biggest fear. I talked to the governor. I talked to the mayor. I support them. And the governor's problem is that her hands are tied between the state senate and the state assembly. The mayor, we have 51 city council seats coming up this November. If people care about New York City, you have to vote for common sense. I don't care if you vote Democratic. I don't care if you vote Republican, but vote for the person of common sense. The people that are yelling, I've said to the police commissioner, I've said to the mayor, the people that are yelling, defund the police. Well, how about if we defund their district first and advertise it in their city council district? Well, if your city council person wants to defund the police, so if you dial 911 in New York City Council district, maybe we won't respond. Maybe we'll put twice as many police officers in the city council seats, the districts that they don't want to defund. I mean, something has to ring a bell in people's ear when they go to vote this November for us to save New York City. And that's my mission right now, is to save New York, save New York State, do whatever I can to do it on the radio, do it in newspapers, do it in person, and the same way with our country. What's going with our borders, it's a crime. And those border problems are coming all the way to New York. What say you, Joan?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. We always felt a little smug. We were in New York. We didn't have those kind of problems, but suddenly our eyes are opening. We do have these problems. And I was also interested in whether it was a Democrat or a Republican, you were interested in both and took care of both sides.
I grew up as a Democrat.
Yeah,
I ran Bill Clinton's campaign in New York City for a while. I ran Jerry Nadler's campaign when he was running for borough president.
Yeah, and you did all that as a kid, too.
I did it as a kid. I worked for William Fitzryan on the west side of Manhattan when I was 14 years old. Look, New York is the greatest city in the world, and we can't let it fall down.
But let me ask you, you know so many politicians. You've been involved since you were in your 20s, even younger. You cared. Why don't you choose to run, or do you now? New York is, in my opinion, desperately in need of real leadership and people we can believe and people we can trust, not just a talking game. But we need people who know how to do it, get in the trenches, understand, and know how to talk to people. But we have a lot of people who don't want to run.
No, it's not a fact. I mean, I was in Washington the other day, and I told a big secret. And they said, "Well, what's a secret?" I said there was a scenario where Governor Pataki wanted to run for another term, and he was going to have me as his lieutenant governor. It didn't happen. So it just, it almost happened.
But it could happen.
You never know what happens in the future.
That's for sure.
Now that, listen, being 75 or 80 or above, I think the way people take care of themselves these days and health, they're physically and mentally 20 years younger.
It's true. And people can do, but they have to want to do it, which is what you did.
I am working harder today. I am working harder today than I did 10 years ago. I am dedicated. I will do what I have to do to make sure my kids and grandkids to come have a future.
Can we get people to listen again?
Well, we're gonna have the big bugle out there, and we're gonna make sure people listen.
Well, they have to read your book first. I'm talking to John Catsimatidis. How far do you want to go? Lessons from a Common Sense Billionaire. And it's interesting because you didn't grow up like that, huh?
No, I grew up on the poor side of town. And the book is available on the Barnes & Noble and on Amazon. Also on WABCRadio.com. If you order your book through them, you get an autograph. And after you finish reading it, if you sell it on eBay, you get twice as much back because it's autographed.
That's our guy, and that's why he became a millionaire, a billionaire. And John points out that we need to come together and that we have to listen. It's one thing to talk. It's another thing to listen and to respect other people's point of views, and also to respect freedom of speech and not constantly try to repress it. Thank you, John. Fascinating look.
Dr. Hamburg, you've been a remarkable lady all your life, and you're still kicking it hard, and keep going, and I'm going to give you your 100th birthday party.
I can't wait. Let's hope I can get out of a chair by then. Thank you, John.
I look forward.
Me
Take
too.
care.
John Catsimatidis, how far do you want to go? Lessons from a Common Sense Billionaire. And he's going to give me, when I get to be 100, a birthday party, and I'll make sure a lot of you are invited. I'm Joan Hamburg, and you're listening to your favorite station, WABC. More to come.